Have you ever been insulted in public, and for the next 3 hours you replay it in your head, thinking of what you should have said? Or worse, you react instantly, and suddenly you look like the emotional one while they walk away smiling. Today, you'll learn how to respond to insults in a way that makes people regret trying you, without raising your voice, without looking weak, and without losing control. The world is full of rude people, not because they are brave, but because they are hunting for easy targets. And here is the truth most people never learn. An insult is not always meant to hurt you. It is meant to move you, to push you into anger, embarrassment, or desperation. Because the moment they control your emotions, they control you. So if you want respect, you must master one's skills. How to react when someone insults you. Never react emotionally first. The first reaction after an insult is the most dangerous moment in any social exchange. It is the moment where power silently changes hands. When someone insults you, they are not simply throwing words into the air, they are pulling a string, hoping you will move. The instant you react emotionally, you confirm that the string is attached. Most people fail here. Their face tightens, their tone sharpens, their voice rises. Even if their words sound strong, their emotions betray them. And once emotion appears, control disappears. The person who insulted you now knows something valuable. They have access to your inner state. They have discovered a button they can press again. Understand this clearly. The first reaction is not about defending your pride. It is about protecting your position. When you respond too quickly, you respond from instinct, not strategy. Instinct is predictable. Strategy is intimidating. An emotional reaction signals insecurity. It tells the room that your self-image is fragile enough to be shaken by a few careless words. Even if the insult was unfair or foolish, your visible agitation gives it weight. You elevate something small into something significant simply by reacting as if it mattered. Control, on the other hand, creates uncertainty. When you pause, when your expression remains steady, when your tone stays measured, you introduce doubt into the mind of the aggressor. They expected movement. They expected irritation. Instead, they encounter stillness, and stillness unsettles those who rely on disruption. Delaying your reaction does not mean accepting disrespect. It means refusing to surrender your authority over yourself. There is a difference between being affected and choosing how to respond. The person who masters this delay gains an invisible advantage. They think while others feel. They decide while others flare up. Emotional reactions are immediate but costly. Composed reactions are slower but powerful. In that brief pause between insult and response lies the space where dominance is either lost or secured. An insult is often a test, not an opinion. Most people misunderstand insults because they take them at face value. They assume the rude remark is a sincere statement, a true judgment, or an honest reflection of what the other person thinks. That assumption is exactly what gives the insult its power. Because the truth is simpler and colder. Many insults are not opinions at all. They are tests. A rude person often does not insult you because they have carefully analyzed you and reached a thoughtful conclusion. They insult you because they want to see what happens next. They want to measure your stability, your confidence, and your boundaries. They want to find out whether you are someone who can be pushed, embarrassed, or emotionally controlled. That is why insults frequently appear in groups, in public, or in situations where there is an audience. The insult is not always meant for you alone. It is meant to create a scene. It is meant to place you in a weaker social position while the aggressor gains attention, dominance, or entertainment. When you realize this, you stop treating insults as personal wounds and start treating them as social tactics. The test works like this. They throw a small insult first, something light, something that can be disguised as a joke if challenged. If you react strongly, they label you sensitive. If you react weakly, they label you easy. Either way, they collect information. They learn how to handle you in the future. They learn how much disrespect they can safely deliver without consequence. This is why your response matters more than their words. The insult itself is rarely the main event. Your reaction is the real target. The aggressor is looking for a reaction that benefits them. They want you to either collapse into silence or explode into anger. because both outcomes allow them to frame you as inferior. Silence can look like defeat if it is nervous. Anger can look like desperation if it is uncontrolled. The test is designed so that the average person loses no matter what. But once you recognize it as a test, you stop playing by their rules. You stop rushing to defend your ego. You stop arguing as if you owe them an explanation. You stop proving yourself to someone who is trying to provoke you. Instead, you become deliberate. You make them uncertain. You make them pay socially for their attempt. The strongest people do not respond like someone who has been attacked. They respond like someone who has just been evaluated and found the evaluator unimpressive. They treat the insult as a clumsy move, not a serious threat. And this shift in perception changes everything, because when you stop believing the insult is an opinion, it loses its authority over you. And when it loses authority, it loses its ability to shake your identity. Silence can be dominance. Silence is one of the most misunderstood tools in social conflict. Most people associate silence with fear, hesitation, or defeat, because they imagine a strong person must always respond quickly, loudly, and with perfect words. But that belief is exactly why silence becomes such a powerful weapon in the hands of someone who understands human behavior. When someone insults you, they are usually seeking a reaction. They want proof that they have affected you. They want to pull you into a frame where they become the aggressor and you become the responder. The moment you speak too fast, you accept their terms. You enter their game. You begin defending yourself, explaining yourself, or trying to restore your dignity through words. And in doing so, you reveal something important. You care about their judgment. Silence denies them that reward. A calm pause, especially in a public setting, creates a strange pressure. The insult hangs in the air. The aggressor expects noise. They expect anger. They expect embarrassment. But instead, they are met with stillness. That stillness forces everyone in the room to look at them, not you. The attention shifts. The tension becomes theirs to carry. This is why silence can feel unbearable to rude people. Many of them rely on momentum. They thrive when the exchange becomes emotional and fast. They want the conversation to spiral into chaos because chaos makes them feel powerful. But silence kills momentum. It slows the room down. It removes the excitement. It makes their insult look unnecessary, awkward, and childish. Silence also communicates something deeper: emotional independence. When you do not react instantly, you show that your inner world is not open for strangers to invade. You show that your mood is not for sale. You show that you do not need to prove yourself. This is why silence can be more threatening than any insult you could throw back. It signals that you are not playing defense. It signals that you are not desperate to win approval. It signals that you have the luxury of restraint. There is also another layer. Silence creates uncertainty. Words give clarity, and clarity gives the other person a direction to attack. But silence offers nothing. The rude person cannot tell if you are amused, offended, planning a response, or simply dismissing them as irrelevant. And uncertainty is uncomfortable. People who try to dominate others want predictable reactions. When they cannot predict you, they cannot control you. Of course, silence must be executed correctly. Nervous silence looks like weakness. A composed silence looks like authority. The difference is in your posture, your face, and your pace. If you stay relaxed, if your eyes remain steady, if your body language does not shrink, then your silence becomes a statement louder than words. It says, "I heard you, and I decided you were not worth an immediate response." And in social hierarchy, the person who decides what deserves attention is usually the person on top. Respond in a way that costs them something. Most people respond to insults as if the goal is to feel better. They try to defend themselves, explain themselves, or prove the other person wrong. That approach may calm your emotions for a moment, but it creates a long-term weakness. It teaches the rude person that insulting you is free. If someone can disrespect you and walk away without consequence, they will do it again, and others will learn from it too. A strategic response is different. It is not about winning the argument. It is about changing the price of disrespect. Rude people often behave the way they do because it benefits them. They gain attention, laughter, or dominance. Sometimes they gain emotional satisfaction from watching someone squirm. The insult is an investment, and the reward is your reaction. If you react emotionally, you pay them instantly. If you defend yourself desperately, you pay them again. If you insult back with anger, you give them a fight, which is still a form of entertainment and still gives them significance. The smartest response is one that makes them lose something. It can cost them social comfort. It can cost them reputation. It can cost them control. It can cost them the ability to continue without looking foolish. This is why calmness alone is not always enough. Silence can be dominance, but silence without boundaries can also invite repeat behavior from someone who is determined. So there are moments where you must respond, not to satisfy your ego, but to establish a rule. The purpose of your response is to create a psychological consequence in their mind if they insult you. Something unpleasant happens to them. This consequence does not need to be loud. In fact, loud consequences often backfire because they make you look unstable. The best consequences are clean, controlled, and socially intelligent. A calm question that exposes their motive can cost them dignity. A simple statement that labels their behavior can cost them approval. A firm boundary can cost them access to you. Even a quiet withdrawal done with confidence can cost them the opportunity to keep performing. And there is a reason this works so well. People repeat what gets rewarded and avoid what gets punished. A rude person is no different. If insulting you results in them feeling powerful, they will repeat it. If insulting you results in them feeling awkward, exposed, or socially diminished, they will hesitate next time. The key is that the cost must fit the situation. If you overreact, you look weak. If you underreact, you look easy. The cost should be just enough to make the insult unprofitable. Not a dramatic explosion, not a desperate argument, but a controlled response that shifts discomfort back onto them. When you master this, you stop being someone who must constantly defend themselves. You become someone people approach carefully, because they learn a simple truth: disrespecting you is not fun, not easy, and not safe for their image. And in a world where many people tolerate insults just to avoid conflict, the person who makes disrespect expensive becomes naturally respected without ever begging for it. Choose your response based on power, not pride. Pride is one of the easiest weaknesses for other people to exploit. It feels like strength, but it behaves like a trap. The moment someone insults you, pride starts screaming inside you. It demands a comeback. It demands revenge. It demands that you restore your image immediately, no matter the cost. And that urgency is exactly what makes pride dangerous, because it pushes you into impulsive choices. Power operates differently. Power is patient. Power is selective. Power does not need to prove itself to every person who makes noise. When you choose your response based on pride, you are reacting for emotional relief. You want to feel respected right now. You want to feel like you won right now. You want the room to see you strike back right now. But pride rarely thinks beyond the moment. It does not consider consequences, reputations, or the long-term effect of your behavior. It only cares about immediate satisfaction. A powerful person chooses differently. They look at the insult and ask a more useful question: what outcome benefits me? Sometimes the best outcome is to crush the insult instantly. Sometimes it is to ignore it completely. Sometimes it is to respond calmly and make the other person look foolish. Sometimes it is to walk away and remove access. The point is not to satisfy your ego. The point is to maintain your position. This is where most people fail. They assume every insult must be answered with aggression because they fear silence will make them look weak. But strength is not proven by constant retaliation. Strength is proven by control. The ability to decide when something deserves your energy and when it does not. If the insult comes from someone irrelevant, pride wants you to fight anyway because it wants to feel dominant. But power understands that fighting a meaningless person gives them significance. If the insult comes from someone with influence, pride wants you to attack them publicly because it wants to humiliate them. But power understands that public humiliation creates enemies, and enemies can be costly. If the insult comes in a professional setting, pride wants you to stand up for yourself loudly. But power understands that reputation is built by composure, and composure is often the difference between being respected and being seen as unstable. Power is not soft, it is strategic. It can be ruthless when necessary, but it is never emotional. It never swings wildly. It never fights battles that do not matter. It never trades long-term advantage for short-term ego relief. The ultimate goal is not to appear tough. The ultimate goal is to become untouchable. And you do not become untouchable by reacting to everything. You become untouchable by showing that you cannot be baited, manipulated, or dragged into emotional chaos. When you choose your response based on power, you stop being predictable. And when you stop being predictable, rude people lose their confidence. Because the rude person depends on one thing: your pride. They want you to react, they want you to prove yourself, they want you to chase the last word. But once you replace pride with strategy, their insult no longer controls your behavior. And the moment they realize they cannot control your behavior, they begin to fear you in a quiet way. Because nothing is more unsettling than a person who refuses to be provoked and instead responds only when it benefits them. If you want real power, stop trying to win every insult with words. Win with control, win with presence. Win by becoming the kind of person that disrespect feels dangerous around. So here's your challenge: the next time someone insults you, don't react like a victim and don't react like a clown. React like someone who cannot be moved. And if you want more scripts like this, cold, strategic, and brutally effective, then hit subscribe right now, because the next video will teach you how to make people respect you without saying much at all. Like this video, comment CRL if you're done being an easy target, and share this with someone who needs to stop reacting and start dominating.